If you were to calculate the odds of being in the exact epicenter of an atomic bomb detonation, the numbers are astronomical. It is an event so rare, so catastrophic, that for most of human history, the odds were zero. But on the morning of August 6, 1945, the math changed. The odds became real. Now, imagine surviving that event. Imagine standing beneath a sun that burns at 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, watching your city turn into glass, and walking away. That makes you lucky. That makes you a miracle. But what do you call a man who survives that, travels 100 miles to get away from the horror, and then, 3 days later, gets hit by a second atomic bomb? Is he the luckiest man in history, or the unluckiest? Was he chosen by God, or cursed by the devil? This is the story of Tsutomu Yamaguchi, the man whom the universe tried to erase twice, and the man who refused to fade away. Welcome to the file on the double Hibakusha. To understand the absurdity of this story, we first have to look at the world Tsutomu Yamaguchi was living in. It is August 1945. World War II is in its final, most desperate chapter. Europe has fallen silent, but in the Pacific, the machinery of death is still churning. Japan is starving. The Imperial Navy is at the bottom of the ocean. The Air Force is reduced to kamikaze tactics. American B-29 superfortresses own the sky. They rain incendiary bombs on Tokyo, turning wooden neighborhoods into firestorms. But amidst this chaos, life, bizarrely, goes on. Tsutomu Yamaguchi is a 29-year-old naval engineer working for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. He isn't a soldier. He isn't a general. He is a man who designs oil tankers. He lives in Nagasaki with his wife and infant son. But in the summer of 1945, his job requires him to travel to Hiroshima for a 3-month assignment. For 3 months, Yamaguchi lives in a city that is holding its breath. Hiroshima is strange. While other cities are being firebombed into ash, Hiroshima has been largely spared. The citizens don't know why. Rumors fly that the Americans are saving it for something special. They are right. On August 5th, Yamaguchi is done. His project is complete. He packs his bags. He buys presents for his wife and son, a rare luxury in wartime. He spends his final evening with colleagues, drinking celebratory sake. They talk about the future. They talk about going home. The tragedy of this moment is palpable. If Yamaguchi had left just 1 hour earlier the next morning, or if he had taken a train the night before, he would have been just another engineer going home. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. August 6, 8:15 a.m. Yamaguchi is walking to the shipyard one last time to say goodbye. He realizes he has forgotten his hanko, his official travel stamp, and has to head back. That small delay puts him exactly where history needs him to be. He is walking along the edge of a potato patch, less than 2 miles from the city center. The sky is a piercing blue. He hears the hum of an engine, not a squadron, just a single plane. The Enola Gay. High above, a bay door opens. A 4-ton metal beast named Little Boy tumbles out. This isn't a normal bomb. It's a gun-type uranium device. Inside, a bullet of uranium-235 is fired into a core of the same material. When they collide, they split the atom. Matter is converted into pure energy, following Einstein's famous equation, E equals mc squared. Yamaguchi looks up. He sees 2 small parachutes. And then, the universe breaks. Survivors call it the Pika Don. Pika meaning flash, Don meaning boom. But for Yamaguchi, there is no sound yet. There is only a blinding magnesium flare, a light so intense it bleaches the color out of reality. He dives into a ditch. A split second later, the shockwave arrives. It lifts him from the earth like a ragdoll. It spins him in the air and slams him into the mud. The heat wave follows. The air temperature instantly spikes to thousands of degrees. Even at 2 miles away, exposed skin blisters instantly. The patterns of kimonos are burned onto people's bodies. Shadows are seared into concrete walls. When Yamaguchi wakes up, he is deaf. His left eardrum has ruptured. His left side is badly burned. The sky is black. A massive mushroom cloud, seething with purple and red fire, towers over the city. He looks towards the docks. They are gone. He looks towards the city center. It is gone. What follows is a scene from hell. As he makes his way toward the evacuation center, he sees things no human mind is meant to process. And walking alligators, a term used by historians to describe survivors whose skin had peeled off, leaving them red and raw, walking blindly with their arms held out in front of them to avoid the pain of their skin touching their bodies. People begging for water, only to die moments after drinking it. Black rain begins to fall, sticky, radioactive precipitation that stains everything it touches. Yamaguchi spends a terrified night in an air raid shelter. He is burned. He is in shock. He is vomiting. But he has one thought that anchors him to reality: I have to get home to Nagasaki. The next morning, August 7th, Yamaguchi forces himself to move. He hears a rumor that trains are still running from a station on the outskirts of the ruins. To get there, he has to cross a river. The bridge is destroyed. The only way across is a raft of bodies. Dead bodies, floating so thick in the river that they form a pontoon. Yamaguchi, a civilized engineer, a man of science, is forced to physically crawl over the corpses of his countrymen to survive. This is a detail he would recount with horror for the rest of his life. He reaches the train. It is packed with the dying. People are burned, bleeding, silent. The train leaves Hiroshima, carrying the witnesses of the apocalypse. Yamaguchi looks out the window as the city smolders behind him. He thinks he has escaped. He thinks the worst is over. He assumes that whatever destroyed Hiroshima was a singular event, a cosmic fluke. He has no idea that the Americans have another one. He arrives in Nagasaki on August 8th. He stumbles into his house. His wife looks at him, swathed in bandages, hair singed, smelling of ash and death, and thinks he is a ghost. She weeps. He collapses into bed. Most men, after surviving a nuclear blast, would stay in bed for a month. But Tsutomu Yamaguchi is a man of duty. The next morning, August 9th, he wakes up. He is in agony. His burns are throbbing. He can barely hear, but he puts on his clothes, and he goes to work. This scene is almost too cinematic to be real, but it is documented history. It is 11 a.m. August 9th, Yamaguchi is standing in the office of his supervisor at Mitsubishi Nagasaki. He is trying to explain why he is late, why he is injured, why Hiroshima is gone. He tells his boss about the single bomb, the flash, the mushroom cloud. His boss is furious. He thinks Yamaguchi is making excuses, or worse, that he has lost his mind. You are an engineer, Yamaguchi. You know the laws of physics. How could one bomb destroy a whole city? It's impossible. Yamaguchi tries to argue. He tries to explain the unexplainable, and as the boss yells at him, calling him crazy, the room fills with a white light. 11:02 a.m. The Fat Man plutonium bomb detonates over Nagasaki. Yamaguchi knows the drill. He knows exactly what this light means. He drops to the floor instinctively. The windows blow out. Glass shards turn into shrapnel. The office building, which is made of reinforced concrete, shakes violently but miraculously does not collapse. If Yamaguchi had been sitting at his desk, the glass would have shredded him. If he had been at home, his house would have been crushed. Because he was at work, arguing with his boss, he was in one of the few buildings strong enough to withstand the blast. He crawls out of the debris. The silence returns, then the screams. For the second time in 3 days, Tsutomu Yamaguchi stands in the ruins of a city. He looks at his bandages. They have been ripped off by the blast. His old burns are exposed to the new radioactive air. He runs. He runs through the atomic wasteland of Nagasaki, heading for his home, terrified that this time, his luck has run out. He gets to his house. It is damaged. Part of it collapsed. But his wife and son are there, alive. And here is that weird fact that sends chills down your spine. Why were they alive? Because earlier that morning, Yamaguchi's wife noticed his burns were infected. She had left the house to go buy him burn ointment. When the siren sounded, she took refuge in a tunnel with their son. If Yamaguchi hadn't been burned in Hiroshima, his wife wouldn't have gone for medicine. She would have been in the kitchen. She would have died. The first bomb hurt him, but it saved his family from the second. In the days that followed, the adrenaline wore off. The radiation took over. Yamaguchi's hair fell out in clumps. His gums bled. He developed high fevers. Purple spots, petechiae, appeared all over his skin. This was the atomic plague. Doctors didn't know how to treat it. They gave him aspirin. They told him to rest. His family prepared for his funeral, but Yamaguchi's constitution was made of iron. He lay in agony for weeks, and then, slowly, the fever broke. The hair grew back. Japan surrendered. The war ended, and Yamaguchi was still standing. He became one of the Niju Hibakusha, literally double explosion affected people. There were about 160 people known to have been in both cities, but Yamaguchi is the only one officially recognized by the Japanese government as a survivor of both ground zeros. For decades, he lived a quiet life. He worked as a teacher. He raised his family. He refused to talk about it. He didn't want the attention. He didn't want to be a sideshow freak. I am not special, he would say. I am just a man who didn't die. But as he got older, and as the world began to forget the horror of nuclear weapons, he felt a responsibility. In his 80s, he began to speak. He wrote a book. He spoke at the United Nations. He famously said to James Cameron, the director of Titanic and Avatar, who wanted to make a movie about him, "My promise is to pass on the memory of the atomic bombs to the next generation." Tsutomu Yamaguchi died in 2010. He was 93 years old. He died of stomach cancer, likely a delayed gift from the radiation he absorbed in 1945. But he lived 50 years longer than the doctors predicted. His story sits on the razor's edge of probability. To be bombed once is a tragedy. To be bombed twice is an anomaly. To survive both and live to 93 is a statistical impossibility. Was it luck? Was it fate? Or was it a glitch in the matrix of history? Yamaguchi's life serves as a grim reminder. We have created weapons that can rewrite the laws of nature, that can melt cities and poison the rain. And yet, human resilience is seemingly infinite. We can be burned, broken, and buried under the ash of 2 apocalypses, and we can still stand up, dust ourselves off, and go to work the next morning. History is filled with stories like this. Stories that don't make sense. Stories where the impossible becomes the inevitable. Most history books skip these details. They tell you about the generals and the treaties. They don't tell you about the man who caught 2 falling suns and lived. That's why we are here. If you have an appetite for the unexplained, the bizarre, and the things that make reality feel like science fiction, you found your new home. We dig up the files that others leave buried. So, do yourself a favor. Click that subscribe button. Ring the bell, because the truth is always weirder than you think. This is Weird Facts. See you in the next file.